Macular degeneration is a leading cause of vision loss, with 15% of Americans being at risk or already affected. Scientific evidence proves that by using mesozeaxanthin, lutein, and zeaxanthin together replenishes the macular pigment and promotes healthier vision. This formula comes in only one product, MacuHealth.
Hello, and welcome to the Open Your Eyes podcast. I'm Dr. Kerry Gill, the host of the documentary Open Your Eyes. Please visit the film's website at openyoureyes2020.com, featuring interviews with more than 50 optometrists from around the country sharing information on eye care and eye disease. If you're new here and you like our interviews, press like, subscribe, share, and hit the bell to get notifications of great new interviews. Also, please leave comments. Today, we have a very special show to welcome in the 2021 baseball season. Our guest is the best pitcher on the planet. No, it's not Cole DeGrom, but female USA World Cup pitcher Marti Sementelli. For more on Martina, let's watch her profile on the New England Sports Network.
Women have made their way onto a global stage in both soccer and ice hockey, winning Olympic gold and countless new fans. Now this month in Viera, Florida, another women's team is aspiring to do the same in baseball. And leading the charge is a local women's baseball phenom. Here's Gordon Eads with more.
Marty Cementelli has been pitching almost from the time her father placed the baseball in her hands. Born in Newton, Marty's skills drew attention at an early age. She appeared on the Jimmy Kimmel Show and was just 9 years old when she was featured on Nesson.
There's 2 strikes and they get fooled, then we throw a changeup. And they get fooled by changeup a lot. I strike out a lot of boys.
Marty played with and against the boys from Little League through college. But now, 16 years after showing Doug Mirabelli her best stuff, she is preparing to pitch for the U.S. national team against the best women ball players in the world.
Every girl growing up, their goal was to play in the major leagues, and mine was to play for the Boston Red Sox. But then it hit a certain point where, reality kicks in, and, now I don't want to even face the guys anymore. I've done that. It's just you're the only one being watched on the field. With USA, it's cool because, no one's watching one particular player. We're all Team USA. It's we're all the same. We're all girls, so it doesn't matter.
Marty, thank you for joining me today. So tell me, how did you start learning to play baseball?
Thank you for having me, Carrie. I kind of was basically just a ball was given to me at a very young age as a toddler, a 2-year-old, growing up in Newton, Massachusetts. My dad just wanted to get me out of the house when the weather was nice, or if the weather wasn't nice, we'd stay inside and just basically throw a bunch of baseballs and see if I had an arm. So it was kind of just a fun thing to kind of keep you occupied in the house, and then it kind of snowballed into something that I actually enjoyed doing, and then wanting to just keep playing. So kind of just my dad kind of just bonding with me.
So what age did you really decide that you really liked baseball?
I would say at some point during Little League, when I was striking out the boys, I thought it was just the most fun time ever. Winning, being on the mound, center of attention, helping your team win. You're in control of the game. I want to say when I was around 8 or 9 is when I really was just getting into it and wanting to really just keep getting better and better and better. Just at my youth.
And how often do you have to practice to get at a level like you are?
Me and my dad practiced every single day. It was, it wasn't we'll do it once a week, twice a week. No, it was every single day, no matter if it was a birthday, holiday, Christmas, New Year's, whatever it was, even if it was just 10 minutes of throwing, just to keep your arm in shape. Something you gotta practice every day as a young kid and then build off of that. So practice isn't so important. It's not you can just be good at it every now and then type thing.
So do you have to take time off as a pitcher in the winter and rest your arm, as you're growing, or did you practice every day, even in the winter, and never really gave your arm any time off?
Growing up as a kid, I never had any time off. It was basically throwing every single day. Everyone was worried about you're going to hurt your arm, you're going to get injured, and but it's if you're doing it the wrong way. Yes, if you're trying to throw as hard as you can every single day, you're going to have some problems. But if you're just playing catch lightly, kind of mixing it up of what you do with your arm, you're not going to hurt yourself. as you get older, you kind of, don't go as hard every single day. You're not playing 2 or 3 games on a weekend like you normally would growing up. But I definitely now have, slowed down as far as not throwing every single day, but still throwing throughout the year and doing different things to keep my arm in shape.
So when you were young and you would strike out the boys, were you striking them out with fastballs or were you changing speeds? When did you realize that you need to change speeds to really be an effective pitcher?
I think I started my first time ever pitching in games was when I was around 7. And then I want to say around when I was 9 or 10 is when I actually started throwing some off speed in actual games. But when I was around, 8 or 9, I was fiddling around with grips, basically just trying to learn how to get them, used to throwing them and what I needed to do to prepare for that. So it was all in the planning process. But I want to say when I was around 9 or 10 is when I was really starting to crank in some curveballs and change-ups and splitters.
So you used to read Leo Mazzoni's book. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I love the Braves growing up. I'm a diehard Red Sox fan, but when I was younger, I loved Chipper Jones and Greg Maddux and Smoltz and all those guys, Glavine. They just had an arsenal of pitchers. And my dad kind of introduced me into that book. And it had a bunch of stuff about throwing programs, conditioning, basically what exercises to do off the field to prepare your arm. It's not just about throwing, but it's also doing other stuff off the field to strengthen your arm and recovery. So it was like our Bible. We we referenced it probably daily. And it's not the 500-page book. I mean, probably like 100 pages gets to the point, but it's basically everything you need to follow. An old school book too. I mean, it's black and white. It's got the grit and something that we've always followed growing up.
So what were the main parts? Was it basically the grip? Was it arm angle? What were some of the highlights of the book that you took into the game or that you learned with your dad that you concentrated on?
It was a lot of the exercises that we did in the house, just like external, internal rotations, stuff to just maintain muscle and so you don't hurt your arm or have any injury problems. A lot of mechanical stuff we've pretty much followed, and also grips. We got a lot of grips from that. And if we didn't even follow by the book, we based it off of that and then maybe kind of made it my own if it didn't work that way. So we kind of had a starting point from that book and just kind of took it and then rolled with it.
So show me some of the exercises that you feel that are important for arm care.
Honestly, especially as you're like a younger kid, like 9 or 10 years old, you're not going to be trying to lift so heavy. It's just about maybe 5-6 pound weights. And you're just doing stuff to like flies and stuff like that. You're getting on the floor, internal, external rotations. We had a little roller that we would roll up to work on our forearms. Just a little bit of upper body strength. As I got older, I started doing more band work. With like the J bands and stuff like that to help stretch out, and not just stretch out, but it actually helps recovery as well. Just like inflammation and, making your arm feel, stretched out and loose for the next day. But it's something that as far as like growing up with me and my dad, we did about 10 minutes before I would go to bed every day. We did those exercises, something that every single day you got to do your exercises. And of course it wasn't fun all the time, but in the long run, it definitely helped.
So did you ever fight him on it?
Oh, did I ever fight him? Probably daily. Yeah, it was a daily struggle. The days on the field are there's good days and there's bad days. You're not hitting your spots or, you're butting heads with your dad all the time on the field. But those days on the field basically got me to where I am today and helped me in the future getting to play in high school, college, and on USA. So, I basically, he did everything right as far as grinding it out with me and putting all the attention as far as practice, because no one likes to practice. Everyone just likes to go be great in games, but it all starts with that.
And why baseball and not softball? Obviously you're a pitcher, overhand pitcher, but were you a good hitter, a good fielder? Did you ever think about playing softball?
I wasn't always just a pitcher growing up. I played a lot of middle infield, mainly second base. I even loved to play first base, but I was so short. But I liked getting and being involved all the time, like pitching. So I wanted to play first base. And I actually really liked hitting as a young kid. I always batted like around like the number 2 spot. I was just a singles hitter. always like a little blooper over the first baseman or second baseman. That was like my hit every time, still is to this day. But I got to a point where, I focused on pitching. And then as I got older, around that 12, 13 mark, everyone was asking me, why not softball? And I was just like, I don't know, why not baseball? I mean, it's something that I grew up. Why would you tell someone if they played a sport their entire lives to just switch all of a sudden to something they'd never done before? In high school, I had a lot of the girls ask me, why are you playing with us? Like, why aren't you playing on a softball team? And I said, well, why aren't you playing with me on the baseball team? It's the same thing, whatever you kind of got into. And growing up in Southern California as well, because we moved to California when I was 3 years old. So we were outdoors all the time, had the luxury of being, 12 months a year, great weather. It's baseball. I was a really big hotbed of baseball. Softball wasn't even like near the spectrum. So I was just put in the team with the boys, and I never even really realized what softball was until like I was like almost a teenager, until everyone kept asking me, why am I playing?
I have to ask you this. How were you accepted by the boys, and, how'd they feel when you used to strike them out?
I mean, since I grew up with all these boys since we were 5 years old into like high school, everyone knew me in the town. I had a lot of media attention, and I've been teammates with everyone so many times. We're playing against them. So it was just like a respect thing that everyone knew I could pitch, and I kind of dominated Little League, that it was never really a big deal. Everyone kind of liked me because I helped them win the games, and we had fun. And I never had a problem with the boys on my team or opponents. Occasionally it was just parents, honestly, that were kind of immature about the situation and would start yelling stuff and get mad if I, struck out their son over national television. They didn't want to be shown. So other stuff that were off the field type stuff.
And tell us about this, the World Baseball, or the USA baseball team for the girls. People don't know about it. Tell us about that and the league, and what's it all about?
Yeah, no, we have a World Cup that is every 2 years. It's international. We have about 12 countries that are involved. It started in the inaugural year was in 2004. So not that long ago, but still it's got a few years under its belt. All girls teams, all ages. Basically, if you're like 16 and over, you're allowed to play. We don't have any like rules on how old you can be. That's what's great about it. You have girls I started when I was 15 and a half, and we have girls that are like going into their 40s or in their mid 40s. So all ages. And it's great because a lot of them grew up playing baseball, and then at some point, they had to switch over to softball at like, D1 colleges. They got a full ride to go play softball, and some of them, played high school baseball and then switched over. Everyone has their own situation or how they found baseball again. But USA Baseball has gotten all of us together again, and it gels us because we've all had a baseball background and been told, we should be playing a different sport. So it's really cool how we just mesh so well. And we all have this like underlying understanding for everybody. And no one's a center of attention. That's what's the greatest, is everyone is just a team. We're out there playing together. You're the USA team. You're not the girl on the baseball team. You're not the center of the spotlight. So it's really cool. It's the WBSC. They run everything, and they've been great. They pick a new venue every 2 years. Our next World Cup is supposed to be in Mexico, and then we'll see where it goes from here. But I've gotten to be a part of it since 2008, and I haven't really looked back. Gotten to travel all the world and basically make my best friends and have the time of my life. It's been a great opportunity.
What other countries are good besides us?
Japan is the powerhouse. We still have yet to beat them in a World Cup since I've been part of the team, as far as taking the gold over them. Japan's number one. We got Canada and Australia, who are always powerhouses as well. Chinese Taipei over the last couple years have been really getting better and better each time. And then we have, developing countries that are getting better, like the Dominican Republic and Cuba and so on. And for the first time, we have a couple other countries that are actually joining our World Cup. Mexico just got a team, and France. So it's kind of getting a little bit more out there, which is good, spreading awareness, and more teams are forming, which is great. We're not on the big spotlight as far as television and stuff like that. We're not on ESPN or anything really, but they do stream our games through YouTube, and slowly we're kind of scratching the surface. More people are little by little finding out about it, which is good. Maybe one day it'll really get out there and we'll be able to have everybody watching us like the Little League World Series or something like that.
At your fastest, how fast can you throw it?
It's been a few years, but I want to say probably 74. I always say that 74 is like the max out. And I do throw a lot of off-speed pitches. So I'm not blowing it by them all the time, but I blow it by them because I'm mixing the pitches up super well. So location and just being crafty, I guess you could say. And
the best pitchers in the world, how fast do some of those female pitchers throw? Any of them throw in the high 80s, reach 90?
Pretty much the 70s is pretty much what you're going to see, is like mid to high 70s. Occasionally you'll see top outs at like 80, 81, 82, probably the max out, but probably consistently like upper 70s depending on what country. Some of the not the developed teams, they'll be a lot slower, definitely like probably in the 50s or 60s, but like the big competitive teams, you're going to see high 70s or so.
And how far are the fences?
So we normally play on major league stadiums of like normal men's league. So when we were, when we were in Japan, my first World Cup, we were playing in the all dirt fields that you see, on TV in the Japanese league or South Korea. So they pretty much make the same exact field dimensions. The last World Cup, they put like a little bit of a fence, like a little bit in, but only like 10 feet. We're still playing at like the same dimensions. And the only other thing, we're using the aluminum bats instead of wood. So those are like the differences.
And how often does a girl hit it over the fence?
And actually this last World Cup, we had like, just our team alone had like 7 or 8. So every year that starts to be becoming more of a bigger thing. I don't know, we're just getting more powerhouse hitters, or we're just seeing the ball better. But my first World Cup, I don't know if I saw like 1, and then every year prior to that, it's been getting bigger and bigger. We have a couple big time hitters that can crush. That's for sure.
And what kind of coaches do you have to help you with your pitching, help the hitters with their hitting?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of different coaches throughout the years since I've been a part of the team. But this last coaching staff has stuck with us since the last year. And our actually head coach is a former player. She was my catcher in my first few World Cups. So it's great knowing your coach so well, and how they work, and being a teammate, and you got that respect. They don't need to get to know you; they already know you. So that's there on a personal level, and that just goes so far from there. Usually everyone's from all over. Right now our coaching staffs, I think, mainly in Miami and Texas. But once they see that who we are, and respect us and see the talent, we get along so well with our coaching staff. So that's never really been a problem.
You spoke before about being on television. Didn't you strike out Jimmy Kimmel? Did he get upset?
Yeah, he did. I mean, his reaction, it's pretty bad. I mean, it's on YouTube, and he's so deflated, after it. It was probably one of the coolest days of my life. And at the time, it really was just like a typical day, because I was 10 years old and didn't really know the reality of what was going on. But looking back on it, it was so cool just to be there. I mean, I got Jennifer Gardner back there, like making fun of Jimmy, and Rich Eisen's doing the play-by-play. So that's when he was big on ESPN. So I don't know, it was pretty surreal how it all happened. And my lights were on, the screen and everything like that at the El Capitan. So yeah, it was one of the coolest things ever.
So was it inside at a studio, or did you go outside to a field?
So we started indoor in the studio to do the interview portion. When I come out, and I'm so nervous, I'm just like this scared 10-year-old, and, doing the best I can. And then on the studio lot in the back, they set up a whole batting cage setup where I was going to pitch and he was going to hit. And they were out there all day basically building this brand new cage, making sure I liked it. Was this okay with the dimensions? What about this ball? Everything like that. So during commercial break, the whole live studio audience went in the back studio lot, had benches all set up, and had like a crowd. And me and Jimmy went in the cages, and I had a catcher who was he played the sax in the band, Cleto. He was a friend of mine too, and he caught me. And there was an umpire. It was pretty game like.
Did you throw any balls?
I maybe one. And I get kind of like, I don't know, but it was a quick at bat, that's for sure. Yeah.
It's pretty much 3 pitches. Did you throw any curveballs, or you just threw heat to them?
That's so funny because they asked me that in the the show after I strike him out, and I go, nope, just straight fastballs. And he's like, yep, just smoke. And I was like, yep.
Did he play baseball, or did he?
I don't even know. I mean, he had a decent swing for sure, and he always plays in the celebrity softball games and just for fun, when they have him all-star break and stuff like that. He's an athletic person. It's not like I was striking out just anyone that didn't know how to swing a bat. So yeah, he was pretty mad about it.
That's fun. So for a professional athlete, someone like yourself, the other girls, people that you've worked with the Red Sox, what's their diet like? What's their lifestyle like to be able to not only the exercises they do, but do they eat a certain way? Do they make sure they get to bed early to get enough sleep? Do they do any kind of meditations? Any kind of stress reduction? Like the pillars of health. How close do they follow it, or they they don't really even think about it? They're out eating.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think every athlete's a little bit different on what they need to do for their body to be ready for game days. I mean, for the most part, I would say 95% of the team has a really great diet. We're all very fit. Just to make the team, you got to be the best of the best. And, your running, your stamina, everything like that is going to be on top shape. So prior to that, you're training throughout the entire year to be ready for this point. So as far as, hitting the gym all the time, that's like a major thing in everybody's life. You see, as far as like social media goes, people on my USA team are constantly working out, eating right. I want to say like everyone has a different type of thing that they do. I'm not sure if people like do yoga or meditation or anything like that, but we're on a pretty good strict diets, I would assume, for a lot of us.
So, I mean, do you stay away from processed food, sugar, soda, or, I mean, are you eating mostly salads, foods with just one ingredient, like we preach to our patients that, that are sick and that we're trying to improve their health?
Yeah, I'd say we stay away from processed foods, pretty fresh, most fresh as that you can get. And I would say no one really drinks soda, water, or like a lot of protein stuff, or, smoothies and vitamins and stuff like that. We try to stay away from anything that's unhealthy, fast food, anything like that. Again, you're going to have your days where, on the weekend or something like that, you're going to have cheat days or whatever. But for the most part, you're sticking to your day to day. And that's something that I do as well. Eating protein and fresh vegetables pretty much throughout the week. And I think that's what most of my teammates do as well.
I notice now that the catchers a lot of times will use nail polish or tape their fingers so the pitchers can see the signs a little bit better. Is that an issue where the pitcher is having trouble seeing because they're only 60 feet away, 60 feet, 6 inches, or is it just because they're trying to hide the sign so much from the other team?
Yeah, so I've had the problem of not being able to see as well at nighttime. So during the day, no problem seeing the catcher's fingers as far as being a pitcher. And but at night, for some reason, the reflection of everything going on, it's so bright. And then, you're looking into, your catcher, whether it's kind of like a darkened tunnel where they're giving the signals, and it's kind of hard to see. It's like this dark area. So occasionally I'll tell my catcher if I can't see their fingers, like, can you put nail polish or can you put tape, like white tape, so you can see? And it kind of just helps so much. It's not usually the distance. It's just basically on the lighting of the day, or some lights are better than others, or depending on how the field is faced or anything like that. Kind of like a preference, but the tape and everything like that helps so much for a pitcher to see.
How many different pitches do you throw?
Oh man. So back when I was like 15 or 16, I had like ridiculous amount. I had like 7 or 8 pitches. I don't even know how I did that, but now I have 4. I kind of simplified everything and modified it. And now I have a fastball, changeup, slider, and a palm ball. So that's basically what I got going on right now. I used to have like 2 palm balls, another curveball, a splitter. So it was a lot, and my catchers, they kept up. So we're kind of running out of fingers for signals. We had to be really creative with it.
And how do you give the signal so the other team doesn't steal the signs? How often do you have to change the signs during the day?
when I was
during the
growing
game, that is.
up, yeah, like my dad had the most simple signs ever. It was like one,
Mm.
two. It was like it was so simple, and he'd be like, "This would be inside, and this one thing would be outside," and it would be so easy. And people would try to pick the signs up all the time. People would call out like, "She's throwing a change up," and we'd be like, "Okay, it's just whatever." But now on like USA and stuff like that, we have like such a system where everything is relayed, or we have like they have like sticker or bands over here where they look up the numbers, and it's very secretive, and we don't really have a problem with it normally ever. But yeah, growing up, it was like everyone was picking up my signs, and we didn't care. We're like, whatever, you can know what's coming, you're still not gonna hit it.
So now, I mean, when they start changing the signs, does it get complicated where people have trouble remembering, we're in this sequence or we're in that sequence?
Not really. I mean, right now, I have a catcher that I've had for so long that we kind of have like we're on the same page like all the time. So we're never really confused with that. If we have to change something here and there, like sometimes it gets confusing when there's a runner on second, and you don't want them to pick off, a sign or anything like that. We got to change things up a little bit. But for the most part, I mean, we haven't really had any problems with anyone stealing them.
So talk to me about the mental part of the game. How important is that in baseball?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say if you're not good mentally, you can't be a pitcher. There's too much going on in your head that you need to basically calm down all the voices and the nerves and everything like that. You got to concentrate on your breathing and everything like that. Because if you're too tense and everything like that, you're not going to throw strikes. The balls are going to go everywhere. People are going to get hit. So mentally, you just have to calm everything down. And what helped me growing up is I saw a movie called For the Love of the Game. And he gets on the mound, and it's crazy crowds, and he says, "Clear the mechanism," and it basically just shuts everything out. You get in your zone, and when you really think about it, you're just throwing it. I know everyone says it, just throw the glove, just throw the catcher's glove, but really, I shouldn't be looking to see if Bryce Harper's up against me, because if I think that he's going to hit a home run off me, then he is. So basically, just hitting my spots. And if things go wrong, like, you have to have a short memory. You have to be like Dory on Nemo, like just forget about what happened. Like if someone gets a hit, or someone makes it, especially if someone makes an error, because that really hurts. You got to just brush it off and just get after the next batter, because if you don't brush it off, guarantee the next batter is going to get a hit, and then it's going to be a merry-go-round. So you just got to go after the next batter. You can always tell, like, with certain pitchers, if you get after them in the first couple innings, you go, "Oh, we're in their head, they're done." Send them, bring in the bullpen, because you can tell when their body language and everything is frustrated. So yeah, just basically showing no emotion to anybody.
Vision Edge gives you less eye strain and reduced damage caused by blue light. We like to call Vision Edge sunscreen for the eye. It all starts with your highest level of visual performance, only achievable through scientifically proven
Thank you for
Vision
tuning
Edge.
into the Open Your Eyes podcast. If you like the video you're watching, please hit the like button. Also, hit subscribe for weekly new episodes of the podcast, along with pod winks and bonus content. All right, let's get back to the show.
I've noticed that, like, there's so many people that are really great, but I was watching the Yankees, and Mariano Rivera blew a save, and they asked him about it. He goes, "Well, that was today. Tomorrow's another day." And
Yeah.
I guess the really great ones are able to just put that out of their mind, and tomorrow's another day. This is part of the job.
That's who's successful, is just basically going after the next one. You blow game 6 and go in the World Series. Well, there's game 7. We're going to be putting you in the same situation, and we're going to count on you. So yeah, you gotta basically trust in yourself and be confident in what your pitches are.
So do you think female baseball players train differently, as far as exercise, than male baseball players?
I think the only thing that would be different is how much weight is lifted or anything like that. I would say nothing is different. We're treated the same as far as how we prepare our bodies. When I was growing up, in high school and in college, I did the same exact workouts as the guys next to me. The only difference is I just had like a little, lighter weight. I had still to run the same amount. I had to do the same exercises. Nothing was like, "Oh, well, since you're a girl, you can do these exercises." No, it was the same preparation my entire life, at least for me.
It seems like when I watch female golfers, they have incredible form. maybe even better than the male golfers. Not that I'm an expert to be able to say, but it just seems to me like their form's better. And females, I don't know why, but it seems like you can learn from them a little bit better than you could actually learn from the men. And I don't know if you ever got that impression.
Kind of on the same topic as that. So when we, have different coaches that come in for USA Baseball, and they kind of, work with us for a day or two, because some of them will be like, I've never worked with a woman baseball player, but then we'll have other people to be like, just try it out. You're going to love it. They will absorb everything you say, and they're great. Just, work with them. And we've never had a coach not make a speech after they worked with us and be like, you guys were the greatest athletes I've ever worked with. It's just because the way that we retain the information, the way that we're paying attention, that we're asking questions, we're trying to get better, where a lot of the guys are like, oh, well, we're good. We don't need, to learn anything new. And we want to absorb everything, because we don't get a lot of the baseball knowledge that boys are just given. So when we get it in front of us, we try to take it and run with it. And I think the same with that, like, there's a difference when you're coaching us. We just, I don't know. It has a better kind of relationship, I guess, and easier to coach, I guess.
Now, I asked you to get a ball before we started, so you could show me some of the different grips. So let's go over the different pitches that maybe you could help some of the kids at home.
Yeah.
I guess we'll start with the four seam fastball.
Yeah. So I'll start with the four seam. I guess I can do it this way. I guess that works. So the four seam fastball, kind of very traditional. When I was a kid, I just used my whole hand, but then you get to a point, two fingers on the seam. Right now, I only throw a two seam fastball. That's just me, just to get more movement on it. Basically, just like this. On the two seam, I put a little pressure on the middle finger, just so it gets a little bit of a run going towards that right side, outside to a lefty batter. My changeup, kind of a traditional circle changeup, but I don't close my the circle all the way. Most people, I guess, would complete the circle. I almost do. So that's like the full, I guess you can say it, wrap around. And the biggest thing on this is, pronation, making sure that you're throwing everything like a fastball, but when you get to a certain point, when you're extending, you rotate that towards your thumb down. That way you get that break going lower and not hanging, because the hanging changeup is a bomb. Slider basically is the same grip as my two seam fastball. I just, instead of throwing it like a normal fastball, when I come to this point, I basically slice down the middle. And that gives it that little break at the end. A traditional palm ball, like in the Leo Mazzoni book, is basically gripped with four. I guess like this. But that didn't work for me, like I said. So we tried it with two fingers. And that seemed to work a lot better for me. And that pitch is just like throwing a fastball to right here. And then at the very end, I'm basically putting a cup down. I'm not turning my wrist or anything like that. And that's all coming out of the fleshy point of my like thumb area. You don't want to grip it too hard. You kind of look at it like it's like you're gripping an egg. If you grip it too hard, you're going to crack the egg. So nice and loose, got a little gap right here, and kind of just getting that little spin. And that should be like a 12-6 curveball coming out of that hand, and you're not twisting or turning anything like that. And growing up, like, people were like, oh my God, I can't believe you're throwing all these, breaking balls and everything like that. But all these pitches that I do are very healthy, and it's not strenuous on the arm at all.
Go back to the two seam that you throw. Just show us a little slower how you do it and how you finish the pitch.
Yeah, so I like to put a little bit more pressure on my middle finger, and basically, everything nothing changes at all. It's the same exact fastball. The grip basically will do the work. If I'm a righty, like I am, it'll be going towards that right side. Lefty would be go the opposite end. I used to throw four seam and two seam, but as I gotten older and I was throwing against men that are in college, I needed as much movement as I could get. So a straight fastball was just going to be too easy. So I kind of just always used the two seam fastball as my number one. So yeah, I mean, those are basically my four simplified pitches.
Do you know how to throw a cutter?
I currently do not. It's something that I've been trying to figure out. Actually, over quarantine, I tried it out and it didn't really work out. But I maybe one day I'll end up learning it again.
So what would be the grip though for a cutter?
People keep telling me that it would be like a four seam, on the four seams, putting them together, and my thumb would be kind of all the way down, and I would just throw it just like a fastball. Nothing changes as well. Your thumb is basically controlling how much movement that you want. So wherever you're holding it, and you move it, it's more movement going down. That's what I've been told on the four seam. There's a lot of funky cutters. It's kind of just like whatever works for you type thing, whatever movement you can get out of it.
And what kind of strategy are you using when you're pitching? Do you shake your catcher off a lot? Are you calling the pitches, or are you letting her call the pitches and you're just kind of going along with what you think she thinks?
I think I do the same thing that I've always done. Like, so my dad called the pitches when I was growing up. I always just said yes, and I never shook anything off. And I kind of do the same thing now. I kind of just listen to whoever's calling the pitches. And now I have like full faith in my catchers with USA. I never really shake them off. No, I pretty much do what I'm told. And then if they get a hit afterwards, and I'll be like, maybe we shouldn't have thrown that pitch. But no, I kind of just, I listen.
So talk to me about pickoffs. How do you show us how to do a pickoff?
Showing you to do pickoff. Well, I mean, I can try to stand. Picks off are a little bit tough. It's actually all about your feet, and unfortunately you can't see my feet. But if I'm a righty and I'm trying to go to first base, my vision, is pretty much cut off like completely. So I kind of peek over as much as I can. I see you because I can turn my body, but once I set, I can't move. That's gonna be a box. So I basically just try best as I can to use my corner of my eye to see anything. And really, realistically, you're really not seeing the runner at all. You're seeing like the base. If anything, you're seeing them not on the bag. It's just like a fake out. You're just trying to pretend that you can see them and throw every now and then. But it's all about a timing thing. You can't just do the same thing every single time, set and then go, or else they're gonna know what you're doing every single time. So it's really hard because you can't look. Lefties have it so easy. They can just see you and they're watching you the whole time, and they can kind of fake you out. That's why lefties are really tricky, and you got to watch their feet and where they go. And then I actually one of my favorite thing is to pick off somebody, because it's like the coolest thing ever. I did it in a World Cup in 2016 to get out of a big jam, a 2-1 game, to kill the momentum. And I picked the runner off, and she didn't move. My first baseman was just like this. She didn't move. So it got out of the jam. It gets your team pumped up, especially on a third out. Gets your momentum kind of switched over to you guys. But yeah, pickoffs, it's visual, but at the same time, it's mainly faking someone out.
And how about like a pickoff to second base?
Yeah, to second, a lot of it's timing with your shortstop. If they're not there, then it's not going to go well. You can kind of fake it out, but it's not really going to do anything. A lot of them, you've got to be on the same page with the second baseman or the shortstop, whoever's, involved in the play. Because as soon as they break, you got to know what they're doing and time it perfectly. And it's all about your footwork. You got to be really, really quickly. Because if you're taking these big, large steps, they're going to know exactly what you're doing, and they're going to beat you to the bag.
And how often do you practice your fielding, your pickoff moves? Is that something that typically you'll practice every day, once a week? How often do the players practice that?
It's something that probably people should practice more often. It's kind of overlooked, I would think. I know when we're practicing with the USA, we don't go a day without practicing them. It's a big, we have PFPs, pitchers fielding practice. We get on the mound every day, and they give us, bunt coverages that we get to cover, first and thirds, comebackers, where you go back to second base, covering first base. A lot of the times, people don't think that, pitchers have anywhere to be, but you're actually constantly going everywhere throughout the field, and you got to know how to cover first base. If your first baseman's getting a diving play, you got to be there no matter what. So anything to that right side of the field, you got to be on your horse and ready to go. The little things that you got to practice, and pickoffs, you really don't need a field. You can do your pickoffs with playing catch with somebody. You just turn your body depending on what base you're working on, and you can just practice playing catch. We used to, before we actually warmed up, or during our catch, we would do pickoffs throughout the time. So then we didn't have to think about them, and it's already done while we put catch.
Has anybody ever stole home on you?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't know. I haven't got that one because I know that just happened, and I saw that in the World Series, and they tried that out. That's tough. I don't know what my reaction would be. I think I'd be really shocked, and I guess they're trying to get you to balk too. They're trying to get you to fidget, and then you get a free base. But no, I haven't. I've never had that one.
So do you think we'll ever see a female in the major leagues?
Honestly, I gotta say no. No, it's really tough. I mean, it's hard for a male to make it. It's when I was a little kid, that was my dream. Is like I want to play for the Boston Red Sox. That was like my biggest admiration. But being through it and seeing how the world is and how hard it is to make it, and just playing in high school was a big deal. And in a little town in California, and then playing at a higher stage in college, and that was a ridiculously big idea. I would say that independent ball and stuff like that, like kind of, in the minors, and I can definitely see it, but making the show is a whole nother idea. I'd love to see it. I personally would like a league of their own, like the movie, and just have our own league, our own major leagues. That would be the dream. And there are talks of it maybe happening in the future, lots of planning, but I've heard about it because I know the women's baseball world is like a P. So once you know one person, you know everybody. So yeah, I would love to play with just a bunch of girls and doing what we do with USA, but just throughout the year,
It's kind of unfortunate there isn't a girls' baseball league because, there's golf and there's basketball and there's tennis and there's just about every other sport, but not baseball.
No, I mean, they did it back in the day, like a league of their own was based on true story. I've actually met a bunch of the girls that are really played in the league because they're always at our events, they're supporting us. They want us to continue to keep playing because they want to see like this big future in women's baseball, and they want to be there to witness it one day. But if it was done back then, 50, 60 years ago, 2020, I feel like we can be able to pull something off. It's all about, getting, on the right attention, media attention, and if we're gonna have viewers and stuff like that. But when we go to World Cups and stuff like that, international thing, we got thousands on thousands and thousands of people coming out to watch us. When I was in Venezuela, we had 16,000 people there and crazy fans, and it's awesome. It's not that big in the U.S. It's just not the biggest support as far as like popularity as far as women's baseball goes. Asian countries, Latin American countries, it's huge out there. So, if we get all on the same page globally, working together, we can maybe do something. I love to see it. I love to turn on the TV and watch the Red Sox, and then turn the TV and watch, the girls' baseball. That would be ideal.
Well, hopefully with this podcast, we'll get the word out.
Yeah. And any one person at a time. That's what I always say,
because it's fantastic. I've seen you throw a baseball. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, people see me play catch and I go, okay, imagine me and then 19 other me's, and then this is our team. So yeah, it's really fun when you finally get to expose somebody to it. They're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. This is great.
You recently made a short movie. Tell us a little bit about that and how you helped coach in the movie, the pitcher.
Yeah, the kid that only hit homers. It was a really fun project to work with like a middle school age kids. I had to teach a girl how to pitch, and I'm like, this is awesome. I don't really get to do that, let alone for a movie. So it was really cool just working with them. These kid actors, they love learning something new and retaining information, and we just had a lot of fun out there, just being on the ball field every day. And it's cool being on a set, and something I never really got to be a part of. And meshing like the media I've had in front of me my entire life, and then baseball, and then kind of meshing them into a movie. I was like, this is like my whole world in front of me. So it was a really cool, fun project, and I can't wait for everyone to see it. It should be out there soon.
And what's the name of it again?
The Kid That Only Hit Homers.
So we'll look for that. That'll be great. It's a Bing Films, and Wayne Chesler was the producer who produced our film, and he's a great producer. He must have been fun to work with.
Oh yeah, we got along so well, just hanging out and playing catch and stuff. We bonded. We were definitely the knowledgeable people on set as far as baseball. They needed our opinions a lot on set.
So tell me about your future. You know, when you're done playing baseball, coaching, I know you give lessons. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I guess it's hard to tell. Everything for me is shut down for this year pretty much. But I want to say when everything's all said and done, everything will be around baseball. I'm going to keep playing until I can't anymore, until I'm in my 40s, like my former teammates. But I would love to get into media and sports and coaching and kind of balance all the 2 or 3 at a time, or mesh them together. I love teaching kids, especially at the young age of like the middle school. I think it's like the best age because they want to learn. High school, they kind of get, a little tougher, but I love, because that's when I loved baseball. My youth was like, Little League was my favorite time to play baseball, my favorite thing to look back on. And I think that's when that's when you figure out if you're really going to continue to play. Is this going to be something I enjoy and wanted to have a future with? So I think that's just like the honeypot of teaching kids. So I don't know. We'll see where life takes me. I've never would have think it would be where I am today.
Well, I want to thank Marty Cementelli for joining me today. It's been a fantastic discussion. If somebody out there wants to get in touch with you, wants to learn more about you, how can they do that?
Yeah, I have a lot of, some kids that, have questions about baseball. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's really easy. It's Marty Pitcher. So they can DM me, or if they have any questions, I'd be happy to answer anything that they have.
Well, thanks again, Marti Cementelli. Thanks for joining me. What a great discussion. And let's a big clap for women's baseball. And let's get out there and support it.
Yeah, thank you so much for the interview, and I hope we can get more girls baseball fans out there.
I have no idea how to say that.
Presbyopia? Presbyopia might be the ability to see Presbyterians.
There are people who are afraid of the press.
I have no idea what it is, honestly. Presbyopia.
A condition in which the eye loses its ability to focus.
Making it hard to see objects up close.
I've heard the bifocal, but not multifocal.
I have never heard of multifocal contact lenses, no.
Since I bought Safe For You, my dad makes me clean his boat.
Es natural y es un buen producto.
Every time I go back to school, my mom always makes sure that I have my Safe For You products. I bring extra, and my roommates certainly don't mind.
It's a good thing I had Safe For You to clean up after this little guy.
When my hands get dry, I like to wash them with Safe For You.
And most importantly, the reason why I buy Safe For You is because it's safe for me and you.